Hello students, Professor Benavides here. Let's talk about Appendix A, installing and upgrading to Windows 10. Now, before we get into this appendix, let me tell you that at the very top, there's a note about green highlighting. That means that that particular task is related to your lab. Then the next two things you see are two videos. They're old videos, but I think they're good. The first one shows you how to create a Windows 10 USB install drive. And the second one shows you how to use that drive to install Windows 10 on a computer with nothing on the hard drive, right? So when did Windows 10 first come out? 2015. I remember even before that, the beta was out and I had that. So I was pretty excited about Windows 10. And so what do we cover in this appendix? We're going to talk about the update installation. We're going to talk about how to install a fresh copy, how to make a bootable flash drive, and how to navigate the setup assistant that everyone encounters after a clean install, and when turning on a new PC for the first time. Okay? So in other words, you bring home a new PC, you're going to have to go through the setup assistant where it asks you for your name and language and all that kind of good stuff. So how do you get these updates? Automatically. You will see a notification that it's available to install and it will require a restart. The point is this, is that you don't have to go and download anything. It's going to happen automatically for you. The Windows Update feature takes care of it. In the past, we had to work a little bit harder on this or deny the updates. The clean install. When would you want to do something like this? Like maybe your hard drive died. So maybe there's nothing on the hard drive. That's what he refers to as empty PC or hard drive. Maybe you want to just start again from the beginning. And that's what he's calling nuke and pave. So a clean install requires that you first make a Windows 10 installation flash drive or DVD. And once you make a flash drive or once you install Windows from a flash drive and you see how fast it is compared to a DVD, you're never going to use a DVD again. So the process is identical to one described here up to until when you reach the what type of installation do you want. So in other words, when you come up to this point in time and it says, do you want to upgrade and keep your files and settings, you can go that way. But what we're talking about right here is going into the custom and install Windows only. That means a blank install. Then you'll have to choose your partition. Now, if your hard drive has had multiple partitions, it would probably be best for you to go ahead and delete them all and have just one. That would be my recommendation, have one partition. You're probably only going to want to have multiple partitions if you're doing dual boot. So here we're going to choose custom, install Windows only, advanced. That's the clean install option. From there you proceed to where do you want to install Windows screen and just follow the steps. It walks you through it. And by the time you know it, you'll be finished. So the setup program begins copying the files to the partition you selected and eventually restarts the computer in no time at all. The author says it goes through pretty fast. And yes, in the experience that I have had, I was quite surprised compared to the lengthy times that I used to take with older Windows installations. If you're gonna do a dual boot, let's say you want Windows 7 and Windows 10, I don't know why. I mean, Windows 7 is not even supported anymore. But just for the sake of argument here, you get a little window, and when you turn on your computer, you'll be able to click either Windows 7 or Windows 10. That's what you call a dual boot. So you can't install, one thing you need to remember is you can't install both operating systems on the same hard drive partition. So if so you're going to have some advanced technical knowledge in order to do a dual boot. Either way, after you install Windows on your hard drive, you end up in the setup assistant. And that's when you get like a new computer or you install it And after you finish the install with your USB, you end up in the Windows Setup Assistant that asks you, what kind of account you want, and what's your Windows account email, and all that kind of good stuff. When Windows 10 first came out, some people were a little alarmed by the fact that it cut out about 7 gigabytes of space for itself. And the reason why it did that is discussed in the up to speed section. And it's there just in case you run out of space and it can't do the update. See, Windows likes lots of open free space. But nonetheless, once you do finish putting this on your computer, then you're going to need to get your files from the old computer, put it on the new computer. And I really don't even know whether that's an issue anymore. I mean, if you're on, on the cloud and you're doing Office 365, you'll have, if you're using OneDrive, I mean, you'll get, if you're using the same account, you'll get all your files, access to all your files again, unless you just really don't like that cloud idea. The next thing he says that you'll do is you'll customize the start menu. Like for me, I don't even use all that Windows 8 leftover stuff. Look at my start menu here. I just got a very plain start menu. Add users. It's recommended. It's not in this chapter, but remember in this class, we recommend that there's only one administrator, and that even if it's your computer, you set up an administrator account, but you don't use it. You set up a standard account for yourself to use, because when you're on the internet or something, it's going to be harder for something bad to happen to you if you're going to be on a standard account than if you're on an administrator account. Okay, from a security point of view. And then lastly, he says turn on Windows Defender. What he means by that is that many times when you get like a new computer and you bring it home, he says that many of them have Norton and McAfee on there. And he said just to delete those and turn on Windows Defender. That's what he means by that. The installation of the flash drive. The way you get it is you click on a little link that's in the book. Now I've copied that link right here for you to go ahead and click on, and it's going to be one of the tasks that you're going to be working on in your lab assignment. The idea here is to create a Windows 10 media creation tool. Okay, it downloads Windows 10 and copies the installer to a flash drive or a DVD that you supply. Then you're always ready to reinstall Windows if the need arises. Okay, so you click on this little link right here, click on Download Tool Now, just click on Accept, specify your language, whether you want Pro or Basic, and the architecture. Hit Next. You can also choose both. Choose whether you want to put this on a flash drive, or maybe you want to put it on an ISO file. An ISO file is something you're going to put on a DVD. You'd have to burn it to a DVD. So install from the flash drive. This is the second half of the story. This is at the very top, remember I gave you there's two videos. One is get this media tool. The second thing is to put the flash drive in your computer and turn it on. When you do that, the author says press any key so that it can boot from the flash drive. But in truth, you'll probably need to go ahead and you might need to modify the boot sequence, go into the BIOS. Basically, every computer I've seen, or almost every computer I've seen, is when you turn it on at the beginning, when it boots up, it tells you what key to press to enter in BIOS, or what key to press to see the boot sequence, and you can modify it. What you want to do is you want to be able to boot from the flash drive. Otherwise, you're going to end up booting into the previous operating system again. Okay. So how do you prepare for the install? These are all just things that they tell you should do, but who does it? Like backup, so once you go ahead and do all the things that it says that you should go ahead and do, and then you begin the installation process. And the author says that the installation process doesn't take very long. And yes, I'll verify it. I mean, he said 30 minutes. which is not too bad. But after you do your installation, remember, you still have to go and do an update. You don't really have to. You're going to get the update sooner or later. Remember we're talking about it. You get your updates automatically anyway, but you might as well go ahead and do it. Okay. So basically, the process is this: you download the media creation tool, right? You get this installer on your DVD. You put it on your computer. You boot it up, and you answer all these questions. And then when you boot up again, you take out the flash drive, and you boot up to a fresh copy of Windows. Okay. The thing that could hold a few people back is the boot sequence. You want to be able. Not all computers are set to boot from the flash drive. Like mine, in my BIOS, I've got mine to bypass the DVD drive to boot from, and to bypass the USBs. I consider that probably a security. I don't want anybody to be able to get into it, as easily as possible. I want to create a little bridge there. So eventually, the install Windows page appears where you would choose your language, install now, you put in your product key, you put in your Microsoft account, it just goes on and on and on. We're talking about the setup assistant, right? Now, the video does talk about the fact that, you really don't need to put in a Microsoft account, but it's kind of tricky. When you go through this, there's like little links down there below saying you have to say, I don't have one, and all this kind of stuff. It's not very, they don't make it very easy to get away without putting in your Microsoft, email account. Same thing for the product key. I think most people think that, hey, if I'm going to install Windows, I got to have a product key. The video says that you have 90 days to use the computer. The last time I did this, I thought it was 90 days, not 30 days. And basically, if you don't have the product key, you can use Windows. And the only thing, and I used it for a couple of weeks without the product ID, just to experience it. I think that basically the only thing I wasn't getting was the ability to customize the desktop. I eventually put in the product ID because, we get those as educators for free anyway. But I wanted to go ahead and experience that. The fact that you really don't need, number one, a Microsoft account, and number two, you don't need a product ID. If you're willing to put up with the nuisance of not being able to handle customization, and there might be a notice from time to time saying that you need to go ahead and put in your product ID. But other than that, once you've put the media creation tool on a USB and boot up, you answer all the questions with the Microsoft Assistant, you've got a fresh copy of Windows on your computer. So this is the link that you would go ahead and click on right here. And that takes you to the place where you would then click on Download Tool Now and walk through it, get your USB flash drive. This is just one of many tools that I think you should have, for working with your computer in case you may need a variety of other maintenance related tools as well. This is one that I highly recommend. But other than that, I want to thank you very much. That's all I got to say about Appendix A. Thank you very much.